Hello everyone, this is Xander Breach, and this is Before the Journey, My Early Childhood, Part 7. Before I continue, I must ask you to please watch Parts 1 through 6. Also, I need to bring to your attention, I apologize, it's been 2 weeks since I did my last video. I had to do some research on this part. Very important. So, now that we got that out of the way, let's do a quick recap of part 6. So, in part 6, I basically ended Wheeling Drive. I basically told you everything I remember for the last time for Wheeling Drive. I mentioned having a retainer. I mentioned something awesome my brother did, which was get all the bananas for Donkey Kong Country. I mentioned one of the things my cousin Billy and I did, which is go to Checkers. And I mentioned some more nostalgia just to bring some fun into the mix. And I also mentioned a quick preview of what to expect in this part right now, which is getting to live in an apartment. So now you're going to get a little dose of what life was like for me and my family, kind of living somewhat of a luxurious life. So now that we got that out of the way with the recap, let's get on to talking about living in an apartment. Living in an apartment, let's see if I can backtrack my memory here. I remember it was just after the school year ended. I just finished second grade, and like I said in part 6, that, my family, wanted to separate because taking care of a bunch of kids became too much. So when we moved into this apartment, it was close to Egypt Lake Elementary School, like I told you in part 6. And when we get into that apartment, it was an upstairs apartment. So upstairs you had the bedrooms and you had one of the bathrooms. You come downstairs, you have the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, and one bathroom. So it was like a 2 bathroom, 3 bedroom apartment. May have had another bathroom in my mom's room. I don't really know. Going in my mom's room a lot was off limits. So, my brother and I are once again sharing a room. My aunt has her own room, and my mom has her own room. So, we move in, and we got all the channels. I guess we got HBO and all that. We're living good now. We're actually living really good for ourselves. My mom had a job. She's doing fairly well for herself. So, being a kid, it's the summer of 95. A lot happened during that time. A lot of good, a lot of things wish never happened. I remember right around the time we first moved into the apartment, my soon to be stepdad shows up, and by that time, him and my mom were dating each other. I guess the divorce between my adopted dad and my mom was final, so now they're dating. And he would come over frequently, and I remember he brought his dog, Ike, over. Ike was a Rottweiler. Big dog, big strong dog. I saw that dog for the first time, I was scared stupid. I looked at that dog and I'm like, got that look on my face of fear. That dog smelled my fear right then and there. I turn around so fast, like really, really fast. That dog comes up right behind me and literally bites my underwear and rips a huge hole in it. And I'm like, I was like frightened, and I could hear my underwear ripping right off. Lucky for me, my stepdad stopped the dog, and my mom's like looking at the now damaged underwear, and literally everyone can see my big white butt. My mom looks at me and she's like, "You may want to change your underwear, son. Your ass is showing." I'm like, "Okay." And I run right upstairs and I change into a different pair of underwear. And when I took that underwear off, I saw the hole. It was huge, like big old hole right smack dab in the middle of tidy whities. And I'm like, holy smokes. That dog took a chunkling out of my undies. So it was like, wow. Just first time meeting a dog and I'm a scaredy cat. So yeah, my stepdad at the time, he was living in a trailer, but he would come over to visit frequently. Yeah, he would come over and visit, and him and my mom had a lot of private time when he came over, excuse me. Some of the things they did was none of my business, but I can assure you it was not of God. And I would later discover what it was, but at that time, being 8 going on 9, I don't think I worried about it too much. I remember that the new Batman movie during that time was coming out. McDonald's was having like the toys, and they had like collectible glass cups. My mom found out about those glass cups. She was all over it. We didn't exactly get all the cups, but she was collecting them like a maniac, or trying to. We got the one with Two-Face, we got the one with the Riddler, and I think we got the one with Robin. I'm not entirely sure. But my mom got those glass cups, and they stayed in like the cabinet with the nice glass, and I was like, wow. I mean, you got like a glass cup that has the design of the character or the actor playing the character, and then the handle, it was like a mug, like a glass mug. The handle represented the character. Like with the Riddler, you had a question mark for a handle. The the character Two-Face, you had like 4 or 5 coins for a handle. You had I guess Robin, you had, I don't exactly remember what you had for a handle, but it was some pretty nice cups. And it represented the movie Batman Forever, which we were going to see that year, which I'll get to here in a minute. But we went to McDonald's frequently because of that. It was 3, 4, maybe 3 or 4 times we went. And I also recall that before going to see Batman Forever, we ended up, taking me to see the doctor. I had a surgery, and temporarily I was allergic to marinara sauce. Oh, being allergic to marinara sauce back then, I mean, it was temporary, thank God. I don't have any effect. It doesn't have an effect on me right now. But being allergic to marinara sauce back then sucked. My mom got pizza. I couldn't touch pizza at all when that happened. Because, pizza has marinara sauce in it. And I remember being like a kid thinking to myself, wow, I can't have marinara sauce? This sucks. So everyone's enjoying pizza. I was stuck with macaroni and cheese. Thank God that was temporary though. I don't think I could have ever as a child not be able to have pizza or spaghetti or anything I like of Italian food. Wow. And before going to see, let me think here. I need to keep my timeline in order. So, after going to the hospital, which was during the summer of 95, I think that was somewhere later, probably in mid-June, we went and saw Batman Forever. We went to go see the later showing of Batman Forever, and I remember going into the theaters and they had the movie advertised on display, and they had like pictures of the actors and character, like Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, Jim Carrey as the Riddler, Val Kilmer as Batman / Bruce Wayne, Chris O'Donnell as Dick Grayson / Robin, and of course, a young, attractive Nicole Kidman as Dr. Chase Meridian. All on a little mobile thing going around and round on the wall. And I saw that and I'm like, that's the movie we're seeing. So my mom gets our tickets, everyone tickets. I remember I went, my brother went, my cousin Billy went, my aunt went, and I believe my stepbrother went. All to go see the new Batman Forever movie. And we were stoked. We were excited. We wanted to see that movie so bad. Ever since the previews came out, we were all about it. For an 8 going on 9-year-old, Batman was the thing back in the day that we all wanted to see. And it was awesome. So we all went into the theater, and I remember seeing the movie, and I think right around this time, about 95, is where I began my gradual process in becoming a Jim Carrey fan. It wasn't right then and there I became a fan, but it was the start. It was like the start. And I remember seeing Jim Carrey play the role of Edward Nygma / the Riddler. And I was looking at him like, wow, this dude went from playing good guy to villain in no time flat. I was amazed. And you got Tommy Lee Jones. He played Harvey Dent / Two-Face. And I remember like the first scene where it shows the first villain, and that was Harvey Dent / Two-Face. And you see like, Two-Face flip his signature coin, and he takes the coin and puts it on his hand, and he's like right in front of a cop, and he goes right to the cop, right in his face, kneels down, and the cop is scared stupid. And he flips the coin again, takes the coin, and he's like, tells the cop what the coin says. So, and it was a great opener for a villain, for the villain, because then you get to see what Batman is up against and how Batman has to get out of a sticky situation with that cop who's stuck in a safe with him. And I thought that was neat. I thought, Joel Schumacher, I think his name is, outdid himself in that beginning of Batman Forever, and it was just a great opener to unlock the action to the movie. So, yeah, the movie is absolutely fantastic. I'd still watch it to this day, and I love the Riddler transformation where Jim Carrey wanted to team up with, Jim Carrey's character, Edward Nigma slash the Riddler, wanted to team up with Bruce Wayne so bad for his invention, and Bruce Wayne told him no, and Edward couldn't take the rejection. So I remember that one scene where you start to see a hint of the character become a villain, and that one line, like, "You're supposed to understand. I know. I'll make you understand." Yeah, I'm sorry if my impression's a little off, but it was so cool to see that, and like the transformation of him going from Edward Nigma with long red hair to like the Riddler and the costume and the short red hair, and I loved every little bit of it. And you see his descent when the invention gets put on display, and you see, if you saw the movie, you would know this. If you didn't, I'm sorry if I'm spoiling for it. Display, and you see Edward Nigma become the Riddler, and how he becomes like this insanely madman, and it was like seeing Jim Carrey come out of his comfort zone. I loved it. So by the time we get out of the movie theater, it was already dark outside. And I remember saying, that movie was really long. And my mom looked at me and she said, "Yeah, that's why it's called Batman Forever." And I'm like, "Okay, makes sense." So that was probably the first movie we saw in '95. Second one that came out would be the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, which I found out about early down the line, and I was super stoked to see that movie. Y'all remember in part 3, I'm like, huge fan of the show, right? Well, the movie was going to be 10 times awesome. And McDonald's was already, during that time, later down the line, selling toys with Happy Meals for the new Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. So I think the movie came out in later June. So by early July, me and Billy went to go see the movie. You see, I hung out with Billy a lot when we were kids, and we went to the movies a lot. So you can tell, we had that brotherly relationship, because I didn't have an older brother back then, so this kind of helped with that. And it was amazing just having that in my life. And I remember going to his house to spend the night. We play with his toys, and we'd hang out, and we'd have like an awesome time. And it just, bringing back those memories is just amazing. And I remember we both went to go see the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, and how amazing it was to finally see it through the toys we played with the little figurines and the cars that came with the Happy Meal. And it was like the perfect action flick for kids. Perfect action flick. And the whole idea of the story was, this evil villain gets released from the villains, and he comes and ruins the Power Rangers lair. I don't exactly recall. And the Power Rangers need to help Zordon get back to the way he was, where you just see his face and they have to stop the main villain. And watching that, it was just amazing. It was like the perfect movie for any kid, you know. And I bet a lot of kids went that year to go see that movie, and it was a perfect summertime flick for 95. So, after going to see that movie, I remember, you know, coming home and, you know, it was only a couple weeks before my brother's 5th birthday, and we were spending a lot of time hanging out with my soon-to-be stepbrother, because when my stepdad came, he came with my mom, and they were spending a lot of private time together. You know, the stepdad would hang out and a lot of private time. We went to my stepdad's trailer a couple times, so, you know, all in all, it was just crazy on how, you know, how many times we would go and see this guy. And it was like, it was like a time where they were both really in love with each other. But the one thing that they never did, even though they were in love with each other, is they never ever prayed. They never prayed for their relationship. And that would come back to bite both of them right where it hurts. So, with my stepdad, you know, he was a good man, you know, and my mom, you know, she loved him dearly, and my stepbrother would come to visit, and I do recall during that summer of 95 that my brother and my stepbrother would have a shared birthday starting, you know, that up, and how my stepbrother and my brother had like the birthdays and their birthdays, excuse me, in the same month. So we went to like this big place, this big fun place, and as always, being 8 going on 9 when you're a kid and your brother's getting all these awesome toys for his birthday, of course you get jealous. And that's when the jealousy started, unfortunately. And, you know, he's just playing, like, just playing with all these fun games we played. And we had a good time. I had a good time too, other than the jealousy, because this kid got gargoyles. Gargoyles! The gargoyles action figures. I'm like, for your 5th birthday, you're already getting action figures? Unbelievable. So it was like they spoiled this kid. They spoiled my brother Ron. They spoiled my stepbrother Ron. So you could see for yourself that having that, you know, experience being jealous of your own brother was not a pleasant one. And I had fun, but I'm like thinking, wait till my birthday. You're going to be jealous. You're going to be 10 times more jealous than you've ever been. And I kept that in mind. But I also was still jealous though. So, yeah, you know, it was a great summer. 95 was a great summer before starting what would be the new school year. And my mother was going to have us, both my brother and I, enrolled into the elementary school on Egypt Lake. And I remember, you know, getting ready for that, and my mom telling me, you know, you're going into grade 3 and my brother's grade. And what I didn't know is 3rd grade was going to bring a lot of lessons, not just academically. And I was in for a treat. But may I remind you that being in third grade would also bring the start of something very bad. And it would be the start of me becoming vengeful. Like, very much so vengeful. And it started with one little thing. But pay attention closely, because as the story builds up, you're going to see that monster that I once had come out of me. And, you know, back then, when you're not of God, retaliation becomes key. So pay real close attention to what's going to happen, because when you do, it's going to blow your mind. And later down the line, I will be preaching about revenge, but in a different way. And I'm only sharing what I believe, so let's not take it literally. But I will be preaching on revenge later on. And I wanted to bring that to your attention, because there's lessons I learned as a child, and especially in school, that have carried with me into adulthood. And even though I didn't learn them right away, I have to keep in mind that learning these lessons would be beneficial to me as I become an adult. And I want to share that with you, because I think it's very important when you're watching the prequel that I wasn't always a perfect little angel, and I don't think no one is. But I want to kind of, share that with you and kind of bring that to your attention. For most of you, I'm sorry there wasn't a lot of maturity in here, but, I didn't feel like it was necessary, considering, how the memories played out. But I'm sure guys know, like I told you before, the maturity will come back. And I'm sure y'all know that it will be in the story as time progresses. But I'm going to end this before going into school. And I'm going to say this like I always do. Y'all take care. God bless you. And I'll see you in the next part.